between party and precinct chairs, and additionally between precinct chairs and the voters in their precinct. Mark, raise your hand. Jeff, you here still? Raise your hand. Look at these two people. Stand up. These are the database boys here. Yes, and they give them a hand, because I tell you what, when you look in that package and see that walking list, not only do we have that, we also have the A list. And the A list tells you how they voted and how many times and all of that. Not all over that, we have 800 people that came to our headquarters last November and donated over $10,000. Got their names, the amount they gave, their phone numbers, and their emails. And I wanted you to see another gentleman. Stand up there, Mr. Helms. Mr. Helms and this is Mark Brody's son-in-law. And his family, and probably Jerry Helms, his dad, they are going to call those 800 people and try to raise $10,000 for us. So he's a precinct within a precinct. We appreciate that. Give him a hand. Monies in the amount of $50,000 will be collected from 58 to 59,000 registered Republicans. If somebody wants to get 58,000, take it. We'll keep it secret, and then we'll try to get 100,000. Okay? All 52 precincts will be organized and communicating with the county party. The deadline for this plan will be before March 1st. We're going to raise 50,000 before December 31st. We're going to run this to March 1st. And then we're going to go after Kay Hagan and the rest of the Democrats. We're not going to do like we did last year and wait until October. And have October and November. We're going after them for about half the year this time. Now the person who's brought us this far, under her leadership, Nancy Anderson. You stand up. You need to give her a hand. When I thought it couldn't be done, she said it could be done. When she said she didn't think it could be done, I kicked her in the butt and said it can be done. And we kept going with each other. But I did promise her this. In the next month or so, she's going to have 8,000 kids over at her farm. So I said at the end of September, we will release you.
But I'll be back.
But she'll be back. And Bob Guns, stand up, Bob, short fellow, will be taking over where Nancy's leaving off. If you will go over in your package and look at a precinct organizational chart, up at the top is Bob Guns. Then you'll see Mark D. Biazio. Did I say that right?
Close enough.
I'm getting close enough. He's everything in database and everything. And Mark, he is a lawyer up in Anson County?
Yeah, mostly.
Oh, mostly. And they're the two factors driving that. When we get these stuff, when we go out and get those emails and everything, we'll turn it into them and they'll build that database up. And you as a precinct chair, when you want something, you will call not Chris Dugan. Chris is going to collect the money that comes in after we give it to Mark. Mark's going to give it to Chris. And if there's any holdup in it, they will go to jail before the chairman. We'll probably all end up there, but I think those two will be able to get us out of anything that maybe we'll get into. Sharon Cross, raise your hand. My wife, in the back. She's the chairman of the Sweet Union Republican Women's Club. They have totally agreed to help us out in organizational experience and things that we'll need them for. Audrey Blackwood, where are you? In the back there. She can do anything with precincts. Anything. And then Cheryl West, our secretary. Cheryl will be handling all this paperwork and everything. She didn't know that was going to happen part of this job. And we're going to get this thing off the ground, and we're going to basically put this thing in gear, and we're going to basically bring this Republican Party to the point of where we're already good, but we're going to be even better. Okay? Just recruited a new person from up at District 10 there, Don Brady, and is this your wife?
Well, soon to be.
Soon to be. He'll be helping up this month. Next month, I'll go out and work the precinct line out there for Kyle Hayes. He's the only Republican running for governor. For mayor against 2 Democrats. So I'm gonna pass that little here. It's legal. I try to look at that, Jeff, because sometimes this stuff can go to jail for a penny
Yes, sir.
if you don't receive it right.
Call me.
Huh?
Call me.
Any questions on anything? Get enthusiastic and don't let anybody stay in your way. When they tell you it can't be done, just remember, it can be done. And everything you really wanted and ever learned and ever need to do in life, if you don't make it so confusing, you learned in the kindergarten. Did you know that? Think about it. And raising children is the hardest job there is. How do you know that? God bless us. At this time, I'm going to turn it over now to Nancy. She's going to do the challenge that we have before us. Oh, yes.
Okay, sir. Well, I don't have very much to say, and some of you have already heard what I have to say, but first I want to thank you all for coming. We're going to have a special treat tonight to meet some of the staff folks from the Republican National Committee in Raleigh. And then Chase Eastep, you may already know him. He grew up here in Union County, and I'm sure Jerry will give a better introduction to me, but I just want you to know that they recognize how important this is. And we are the first group across the state to get this training called Boots on the Ground. So they already know what a strong Republican Party we are here in the county, but we're in a position to deliver the knockout punch. And that's what I want to do. We have done great over the years just from sheer numbers, but with a little bit of organization and strategy and better tactics, we really can knock it out of the park. So that's what we were looking at, and we've got a good group of folks working on it. We're sort of calling our little campaign here the Republican Roundup. Do you realize if, as Jerry said, if everybody gave $1, but it's not really about giving the money, it's going to vote. Because at the end of the day, the Board of Elections is counting votes, not dollars. So even though we need money to get the word out, it's really just talking. That's all it is. That doesn't cost anything. So we're going to be asking for your personal relationships to do it. And Audrey is the queen of the grassroots organization and how to make that happen. So she's going to be talking about it here. But here is the challenge that we have for you. Jerry keeps saying that we're going to raise $50,000 for the party. The way we're going to do that, our strategy is we need $1,000 out of every precinct. Okay? That's it. Just $1,000 out of every precinct. So we're going to have a little competition going on here. And Jeff's going to help me do the matrix. But these are the things that you're going to get points for. You'll get points for the amount of money that you raise. And if you go over 1,000, hey, that's good. But more importantly, you're going to get more points from the number of people that gave you money. Because if they gave you money, they're also going to go out and vote. And also, we want every precinct to be represented at the Lincoln Reagan Day dinner. That's going to be with the table. We want every precinct to have at least 8 people from their precinct coming to the Lincoln Reagan Day dinner. Okay? So you get points for that. But you'll get the most points for the precinct that increases their voter turnout, the highest percentage increase. You'll get the most points for that. And the precinct that's the best all-around precinct, kind of like the gymnastics competition, will get to sit at the governor's table at the Lincoln Reagan Day dinner. Special recognition, because trust me, when we get done with this, they're going to go, who are those guys? Who are those people down in Union County? So that's the challenge that we're going to have. And that's how we're going to get there. And we're just excited that these folks, that you guys would come out for this training. And the reason why we thought it was so important for the training, and I'm going to tell a story about one of my friends. Barbara Harrison made a comment one time when she was running for office that she was a precinct chair. And someone said, really? She's never been to a Republican meeting before. And she said, am I supposed to go to a meeting? Yeah. The hardest working councilwomen that we have in Union County, in Weddington. And she is an awesome Republican, but no one told her what to do. So, we have lots of very smart people right back here who are going to tell us what to do and how to do it.
Now remember, when I was in the military, I was in the FDC section. And there were 3 phases of that. One was the guns that fired the bullets and the projectiles. One was out in the field where they made corrections. And then the other one was the computers that figured the deflection and the angle of how you shoot. Take one element out of that and you can't hit deal. So in this precinct, you're supposed to have a chair, you're supposed to have a vice chair, and you're supposed to have a secretary. That's the first thing. Write that down that you need to do. That way, if you can't come to the meeting, the vice chair can come. And if you're married and can't come, then the secretary can come, or vice versa. But when we have meetings, you need to attend. We're not going to have many of these meetings. We're going to have quarterly meetings or meetings every other month in precincts. Like Jeff, you and Heather will call a precinct meeting of your precincts. And you're the big kahuna. And we want people to vote. And we want people to give money. Because you got to have money to win. It's just that simple. But you got to let people know, just as I'm letting you, what are you going to do with that money? People want to know that. And they have a right to know that. I went up to the GOP opening in Charlotte about a week ago and met Craig and Mindy, I believe was her name? Chase and Mindy. And great participation, well attended. And they're here to help us with boots on the ground. Then I met this young lady here, Alyssa, out of Raleigh. And she said she'd be glad to come down and help us, so we got her. And then I knew Audrey. That was her mistake. I knew it. And so I threw those in. We've got the 3 best people in the state of North Carolina that can teach you about precincts. How you doing, Russell?
Good.
Did you get your pack?
I did.
Okay.
Thank you.
So who's going to go first? All right, Chase, come on up. By the way, each of you will get a, what is it, CVD or whatever it is, Max is coming, so you can just look at it over and over and over.
Like you said, I'm Alyssa Moyer. I am the North Carolina State Director for the Republican National Committee, and I work out of Raleigh. Chase here is one of our regional field directors based in the Charlotte office, to the neighbors over in Mecklenburg. And we're here to talk to you guys a little bit about kind of the new program that we're starting. And I'm not sure if any of you guys have volunteered with the NCGOP in the past, but victory might be a familiar term to a few of you in the room. And this time we're kind of trying to change things around a little bit and get a little bit more back to the basics of how we should campaign and turn out voters. I think victory sometimes gets a bad rep, and we're trying to change that and really kind of put a fresh look on what we're doing here in North Carolina. So you guys all should have a packet. You can get the projector to work there with the password, but the slides are all in front of you, and I'll go over everything. But I just kind of want to, take a look back at kind of what North Carolina has done in the past couple of years. And congrats and hats off to all you guys here for being one of 2 states that went red for Romney last cycle. You guys have a lot to be proud of here in North Carolina, and clearly you guys are all doing something right. and making it work here. And too bad, we didn't have success nationwide, but you guys obviously had a winning ground operation here in North Carolina. But kind of the two big important races that we look back at in terms of historical election results are 2008 Senate race with Kay Hagan and 2010 Senate race. And obviously we're stuck here with Kay Hagan, but we have a chance next year to put someone new in there. And she won by a lot in 2008, and part of that I'm sure is due to kind of the turnout that Obama had. But she actually got a higher percentage in 2008 than Obama did in the state, which means we've got a lot still to overcome. But what's promising is that 2 years after Kay Hagan won in a midterm election in 2010, you guys all elected a Republican. And that's where we're going to be at next year. We're going to be in a midterm election 2 years after a presidential race. And we have an opportunity to use that midterm election to elect a Republican and not let the Democrats win. And I think the fact that we were able to go red in a presidential cycle means that we can continue that next year. As you guys all may know, Democrats out-register Republicans in North Carolina. And the number of unaffiliated voters is nearly equal to the number of registered Republicans. So across North Carolina, we've got a lot to overcome in determining where people are actually at. And Nancy and I were talking about this earlier, but I'm originally from Wisconsin, if you haven't noticed from my accent already. But in Wisconsin, we don't register by party. So you guys are already starting at a place here in North Carolina where you already know where some people are at. And I was telling Nancy too that the concept of having registered Democrats who might be conservative leaning is a completely new concept to me. Because in Wisconsin, one, you don't know really who's a Democrat or not, but the Democrats are liberal Democrats. And the notion that someone who's a Democrat could be conservative is not even a possibility. So, we've got a lot going for us, and you guys have especially a lot going for you here in Union County. And just like Nancy said, it doesn't matter how many counties go red. It matters how many people actually vote Republican. And so you guys have a chance to really gain on your numbers here and deliver more voters for the state of North Carolina. You guys may be a red county every single year, but how many more Republicans can we get to turn out? So we have a big task ahead of us, and we're hoping to do a lot, especially here in Union County. One of the big things that we're really going to be focusing on this next cycle is what we call presidential year-only voters. And those are people who voted in 2008 and they voted in 2012, but they haven't voted in any elections since then. So they didn't vote in 2010, they didn't vote in any municipal elections. And we need to go after these people, and we need to figure out why they aren't voting and turn them out. Because the more of these people that we can turn out that weren't originally going to be there is more votes for us. So just kind of a few numbers for you on that. There are 321,000, nearly 322,000 Republicans who did not vote in 2010. They voted in 2008 and they voted in 2012. And just to put that in perspective for you guys, in 2008, Kay Hagan won by 358,000 votes. So, that's only a difference of 30,000 there that we would need extra in order to beat Kay Hagan in 2008. And just I put this kind of in here, you guys probably already know this, but in Union County, you guys have 52 precincts. I believe that number is correct. You have 59,000 registered Republicans. And you guys have less Democrats here, which is great. You guys are already starting in a better place. And 137,000 total registered voters. You guys are a red county, and we're looking to build on that. The number of presidential year-only voter Republicans that you guys have in Union County is about 11,500 Republicans who don't vote in midterm elections. And we need to target these people. They've turned out for elections before, so why not turn them out in a midterm election? What can we do better to make them want to go vote next year in 2014 when they might not have actually voted before. So our mission here with Boots on the Ground, and that's kind of the fresh name that we're giving it this time around, is to go back to the basics. We know that county parties for a long time have been organizing at the precinct level. Having precinct chairs and precinct leaders is not a new concept, but actually utilizing these folks and putting them to work is something that we've kind of gotten away from in terms of our grassroots operations with the state GOP and with the Republican National Committee. So this time we want to get back to the precinct level and focus on peer-to-peer, neighbor conversations, and really getting to know people and build relationships within your own community, because you guys all know the people who live on your street. You know what they're saying about the election. You know if they're a Republican. You may know if they're a Democrat. You may know which issues are important to them. That is your sphere of influence, and we want to utilize that. And so that's why we're going to focus on a precinct level this time around. So what is a precinct? And each precinct is every person who lives in a precinct, they're assigned one polling location. And it's one of the smaller forms of division, political division in the state. So everyone who lives in a precinct has one polling location. And so it's your job to get those people that we're going to target in your precincts to turn out at that polling location on election day. So Boots on the Ground is a neighborhood-focused, grassroots-driven volunteer effort to keep North Carolina red and defeat Kay Hagan next year. That is our number one goal as we move on to 2014, and we need to defeat her, and we need to elect a Republican here in North Carolina. The other thing that's going to be big this year that we've gotten away from is putting quality over quantity. It's not going to be about come into our office and make 1,000 phone calls today or go and knock on 100 doors today. It's going to be about quality contacts and getting to know your neighbors and getting good information from them that we can actually use instead of telling you to come in and make a whole bunch of phone calls and then we'll never see you again. So the structure that we're going to go with, and this will all fit right into what you guys are doing here in terms of county organization with your precinct, is having one person who heads up the precinct and then building a team underneath you. And apart from just your people here at the county level who can help you out with that, we're also going to have staff across the state like Chase who can, help you out, provide you with data, help you kind of with maybe some volunteer recruitment tactics in your precinct, but they're there to support you and make sure that you guys have all the tools to do your job in your precinct. So those people are called regional field directors. And like I said, we've got 4 right now in Charlotte. They're going to be kind of dispersing across the state after we make it past this November. But we'll still have one in Charlotte, and they're here to help and make sure that you guys have what you need. And you guys are calling them precinct captains, I believe, right? Precinct chairs, which is synonymous with the term team leader for Boots on the Ground. So what we're seeing from our end is kind of responsibilities for someone in your place in terms of a grassroots level. You guys are going to have fundraising goals and things like that with the county party, but voter turnout is going to be part of your job as well. And in order to do that, we've set up kind of a few goals that we think will help. And that first means building a team within your precinct and finding 4 to 6 other people who can help you out when we start going door to door and doing surveys and things like that. The other thing is keeping up a regular conversation with your neighbors. That's going to be the big thing. In the past, we've had, you'll get a call from somebody one day, and then 2 weeks later, somebody new will come and knock on your door, and then 3 weeks after that, it'll be somebody new again. And this time we want to change that. We want it to be the same person or the same couple people every time who are visiting you and talking to you. So it's going to be a constant communication and conversation with the people in your precinct. On top of that, there will be, reporting things, letting the staff on the ground or the people at the county level, know what you're hearing in your precinct. We like hearing that information and well, a lot of people are saying this about our Republican candidate, or they're not getting enough information about this. It's important to hear those things, and the way we get that information is by having people on the ground who can report that back to us. So being able to let us know what you guys are hearing is always important. And on top of that, you're also going to be the person who's getting the updates from the campaigns, from the NCGOP, from the county party in your precinct, and it's your job to kind of get that information and stay up to date on all the issues that are going on. The four kind of groups that we are targeting this time around, and this isn't really new or anything, but we're really focusing in on it, is one, we want to build strong relationships with weak supporters. There may be people in your precinct who, they're Republican, but, they're not really intense about voting, Maybe if someone reminds them on election day, they'll go out. But we need to keep up to date with them, keep talking to them, and make sure they've got all the information that they need to make their decision on election day, and make sure that they're voting Republican. So continuing to build that relationship with weak Republican supporters. Check in with strong supporters on a regular basis. Do they have all the information that they need? Do they want to volunteer? Do they want to take a more active role? They might not need as much information as some of the weak supporters, but they still need constant contact, and they need someone that they can go to if they have a question. And so making sure that we check in with them, on a regular basis. Communicating our message with undecided voters, and that's a big thing this time around. We want to make sure first that we provide all you guys with the talking points and the information that you need to talk about the issues that are relevant to North Carolina. But we also need help in communicating that message to people who haven't made their decision yet. There's still a large number of unaffiliated voters here. I think about 39,000 in Union County. And we may not quite know exactly where they stand. And so, if they are someone who hasn't made their decision, their mind up yet on who they're voting for, we need to talk to them. Figure out what issues are important to them. Maybe they don't know where a candidate stands on an issue. And hopefully we have that information where we can talk to them about that. Figure out what's important to them, and give them the information that they need to make their decision. I think one of the things, and you can probably speak to this too, is that sometimes a lot of people, don't have all the information that they need. And one of the things that we're doing this time around is we've got African American engagement team. And right now they're in Charlotte working on the mayor's race. But they'll talk to people all the time where economic issues are important to them, but they're still gonna vote Democrat. And they don't know that maybe the Republican candidate wants to lower their taxes. They keep voting the same way every year, and they don't know why. So making sure that we're really getting across our message to undecided voters. And then also identify unknown high propensity voters. High propensity voters are people that we know are going to go out and vote on election day. They're going to vote all the time. And if we can identify those people, that's one more person that we can check off the list, and then we don't have to talk to them quite as much as we need to talk to someone who we're not sure is going to vote yet. So those are kind of the four main groups that we're looking at this time around. Build strong relationships with weak supporters, regularly check in with strong supporters, communicate our message with undecided voters, and identify unknown high propensity voters. So our goals for 2014 and beyond, because we're here nearly a year in advance when we would be in terms of having staff on the ground and building offices across the state. But we're going to be here through next year and on to 2016, because we know that beating Cahagan and being here for 2014 is our number one goal. But after 2014, we're going to be looking at the presidency as well. So, we need to continue this trend of keeping North Carolina red, not just next year, but in elections to come. So it's recruiting a team leader in every precinct across North Carolina. And obviously we're in a good place here in Union County because you guys have already started that. but we want to build relationships with people and empower you all to take control of your precincts. You guys are essentially the campaign manager of your precinct. You know, you're going to be working to raise money, you're going to be working to turn out voters, you know, you're going to be talking to people. You guys are the campaign managers of your precinct, and that's a big responsibility and something that's exciting. We also want to inform voters and follow up with them. And this goes to putting quality contacts over the amount of contacts. You know, it shouldn't just be about asking them, oh, are you going to vote Republican or Democrat? It's about figuring out what's important to them. Do they need more information on certain things? And then lastly, you know, beat Senator Kay Hagan and keep North Carolina red. You know, we're all in the business of winning elections. That is what we want to do, and that's why we're starting now and building this program. As a team leader or precinct leader, in terms of kind of what we're planning to do on the ground, and this is a new kind of program that we're just getting started, but you know, our plan is to hand everyone a packet, a welcome packet, with all the information that they need to be a team leader and a precinct leader in their precinct in terms of the ground game grassroots activity. And that stuff will include kind of the program overview and what we're looking to do, an election calendar and timeline, letting you guys know when the early vote dates are, when absentee ballots become available, if we've got any, you know, if there's county meetings that we can add to that, if there is, you know, a Super Saturday type thing going on in an office near you, all of that is going to be provided to you so you guys know what's going on, and if somebody asks you, you know, when they can early vote, you'll know that. You know, at some point we're also going to start doing walkbooks and surveys, and you guys will have those walkbooks from us as well. We're going to make sure that you guys have the talking points that you need to talk about issues important to North Carolina, and that you guys are getting updates from the NCGOP and other political leadership across North Carolina. You'll get volunteer and then team member sign-up forms, so that if you come across someone in your precinct who wants to be part of this program and of the team that you're building in your own precinct, you'll have that information to collect from them right away. And any other, you know, materials to help you kind of spread the message locally here. Part of what we also want to do this time around is do a little bit more in terms of letters to the editor, you know, calling it into talk radio, social media type stuff. So that's kind of, you know, we're going to plan to provide you guys with the materials that you need to get the job done. So like I said, you know, in terms of just going out door to door and talking to your neighbors, it's going to be about, you know, communicating to your local newspaper, you know, getting on the radio, listening to things, doing the social media stuff. If you do that, you know, can you share things that the governor is putting up on his page, or that the NCGOP is putting up on their page, or that the RNC is doing? Any little bit that you guys can do to help spread our message in any way possible means that we're contacting more people. That's kind of it. Does anyone have any just general questions?
When will the packets be available?
We have kind of the base of them right now. The stuff that we're still waiting on is kind of the communications talking point stuff. And that's just because we're going through kind of some staff changes at the NCGOP. But as soon as that gets ironed out, and I kind of see that as the most important part of the packet, is making sure that you guys have the right information to talk to people in the community. So as soon as we've got that, you know, the packets are ready to go out and we're ready to get those to you.
You have like a playbook for how you use email addresses and how you communicate, stay in touch that way.
Yeah, well, in terms of the email addresses, that's something kind of, I think is probably very useful to you guys here, and something that candidates and specific campaigns collect and use to their advantage. What we're really focused on is collecting the voter contact information, which means kind of figuring out which issues are important to them. You know, do they already know? Are they going to vote Republican? Are they going to vote Democrat? You are they going to vote for this candidate? Are they going to vote for another one? So in terms of kind of what we do with the boots on the ground and the Victory program, we use emails a lot for recruitment efforts and that kind of stuff. But the email addresses are going to be most important probably to you guys here at county level.
I have a question for, I guess this is for Chase. We are a strong Republican county. A lot of people from Mecklenburg have moved across the county line, and so I guess we're concentrating on getting our party organized, our county organized, but I feel like that we should be exporting ourselves across the line to help with
Absolutely.
taking back Mecklenburg.
We need it too right now. I mean, y'all have a luxury in being solidly red, and right now we're fighting a battle in Charlotte. I know everybody's really worried about 2014, but right now we're trying to help Edwin Peacock as much as possible there. I think that race is going to be a lot closer than you think, and we've been getting after it for 3 or 4 months already. Our office didn't officially open until last week, but we've been getting after it way before then. So if y'all want to get involved, to plug y'all in however possible. So yeah, please talk to me afterwards. I'll be here until the last person leaves, and I'd love to hear your feedback from this, and also just tell each person how they can get involved.
2 points. Actually, the county's been working long and hard with Anson County, and we have really made some inroads down there. A few election cycles back, I guess it was Victory, the North Carolina State Party had a bunch of information available on voter registration and who was where, walking map. And in some cases, it was very restricted how you get to it. And I think it's wonderful to have the information, but if you don't get it down with the people hitting the streets and it's so locked up, you might want to consider making it more available to more people, through some people, because you had to go down and go through an hour or 2-hour workshop. And, Jerry, did you do that?
You talked about the
Voter vault.
Yeah.
my wife got on it, along with, we had 2 people in Union County, and Mark might have got on it. Did you, Mark?
No,
Okay.
John did.
Yeah, it needs to be better, that needs to be where we can get to it.
Yeah, and I can speak a little bit to that as well. So what you guys may know as Voter Vault, they changed the name last year and kind of changed the platform and the interface of it to GOP Data Center. And that is kind of what we use to pull our voter information. And it hosts all the tags that we've collected from voters in past election cycles in terms of if they said they were going to support Romney, if they said they were going to support Tory, were they anti-Obama, did they not like Obamacare? And so we've got a lot of useful information in that. The RNC right now is in the process of updating that and changing that. And so I think on a county level, you guys are going to see some changes. Hopefully at the beginning of the next year, end of this year. What exactly it will end up looking like, I'm not even sure yet. But I can tell you that, one of the steps in the right direction that the RNC has taken in terms of data and making it more useful is they've hired a couple of computer programmers out of Google whose job it is to sit there and type out the complicated computer code to create, these programs. And they're really going to focus this time on making it more open so that people can share more information and make it more accessible.
Follow up my point, I think we're somewhere in the neighborhood of 50,000 Republicans in the county. And we have the vast number of 2 people, maybe 3, that were able to get a hold of it if you knew who they were and when they had time. So, I mean, if you look at the percentage, 0.000000001 of the people that could get to the information that would help them.
Yeah, and the other thing too is, we're hoping to start testing some door-to-door walk apps. So if you've got a smartphone, you can download the app. You can upload the list to your phone, and you can use that to go door-to-door right away. And all of that is right there on your phone. You don't have.
available yet?
They're testing it in other states right now, and part of it is just, you know, if any of you guys used a door-to-door app last cycle, there were probably a lot of bugs in it. You know, your phone battery went kaput after like an hour of using it, even if it was fully charged when you started out. Or you know, the maps weren't good enough or something. So what they did after 2012 is kind of went to these companies who are building these door-to-door apps and said, you know, here are all the things that we need. Create us one that works for us. Where in 2012, you know, people came to us and said, here, try our door-to-door app. So the process has kind of changed, and they've just kind of been working through some kinks in other states. But because we've got an important race that we're involved in down here, we're hoping to get the technology to start using it in Charlotte, and after that, spread it across the state.
I find the biggest thing that's a problem with it is that you got a walk-in list, and then you have a list which has their voting record. And then from the old voter vault, you could get a phone number. Well, you can see on there 3 different packets that big when you add it up like that.
Let's merge the list.
Yeah, that makes it tough. If that could be condensed, you know, this thing could be real simple. You know, somebody dumb as, or unintelligent, I will not say dumb, as a community organizer can organize that stuff up. That's what he did. All we got to do is get his program. And it's out there. And don't tell anybody you got it. Just
Well, labels the list has had it for years and years.
But we're on the right track. It's just so hard to get it together. And that election coming in November, that's why March is our deadline. We want to start kicking rear at that time rather than wait till October.
And just to that point too, I mean, that's why, you know, I'm here and Chase is here and the other staff that we have in Charlotte is here so early. You know, in past years, we show up, you know, 4 months before the election, and then we pack up and leave right afterwards. And now we're here nearly a year in advance, and we're going to stay, and we're going to be here after 2014.
You know, unaffiliated is a huge segment. Are we going to address that group as well, or?
Yeah. I mean, and that's one of the important ones because, you know, we don't know based on their registration exactly where they stand. And you know, that'll be a big group to target as a precinct leader, is going and talking to those people who are registered as unaffiliated in your precinct to try and figure out where they may stand. Because they may be someone who registered unaffiliated, but they're, you know, a hardcore Republican, and they're going to vote every single election, and now we know that because we went and talked to them. So yeah, that's definitely going to be a huge group that we're targeting and trying to figure out where they stand.
What type of data is available in that vault?
What type of data?
Yeah.
Well, so any sort of data company, they get their base information from the State Board of Elections. And that's how, you know, all states do it. So everybody kind of starts there. What's different about GOP Data Center is that we use GOP Data Center in our election cycles with the voter contact program. So we've got all the past tags that we've used. Like I said, anyone that we called on a survey or went door to door with a survey last cycle, we've got all that information in there. You know, we've got consumer data that the RNC collects. You know, they go through and do the change of address, get the change of address list, and update that information. The RNC, you know, has a staff and a team of people whose job it is to sit at a computer all day and update that information on a daily basis. So, you know, there's a lot of data in there, and it's just kind of figuring out what exactly you want and how you want to use it.
So when and how are we going to be able to use this list or this database that you're talking about? How do we get access to it? Because you're talking about it as it exists already, so how do I get to it? How do I get permission or whatever to be able to get on there?
So the way that GOP Data Center works, it's the state party that determines who gets access to it. It's not something that I determine. It's a policy that's created by the state party. But if you're looking for a specific list for your precinct or something and you want to start now, that's why we have staff across the state. And we also have a statewide data director whose job it is to provide you with the information that you need. So anything that you need, you can ask for, and then we can get that to you right away. Excellent. Well, I don't know if you had kind of a few things.
She's gonna make the long drive
Yeah.
back to Raleigh. Please, if you have any feedback, let me know. I'm from Union County. I was actually born here out in Weddington back when there were rock driveways where there are 4-lane roads now. So I care about what goes on here. I'm not just in and out, see you later. So please let me know, and we're here to support y'all. We do have an office in Charlotte. We'd love for you to stop by if you have time, kind of see what's going on, and use us as a resource in the future if you need it. So thanks for carving out some time for us.
Yeah.
Appreciate
And
it.
all due respect, we expect you to use us as a, we got it going on, don't we?
And the other thing that I just want to say too is, you guys as county party members, and you guys know Union County. You guys know what's going on. This stuff isn't new. You guys have been doing it for a long time, and we're here to make sure that your jobs are easier than you need. And if there's a part of boots on the ground that you're not so certain about, or maybe you want to change something else, we're developing this program right now. It's not a static program. We want to make sure that it works for Union County, for Mecklenburg County, and if there's little changes that we need to make here and there, then we'll make them. So this isn't us, coming in here and telling you guys how to run your county. You guys know how to run your county. And we're just here to help and make sure that you guys have everything you need and that we're all working together. Because like I said, we're all in the business of making sure we're winning elections and electing Republicans. So that's what we want to do, and that's our main goal.
Where's the Charlotte office? What street? Moorhead?
Yes, sir. 500 East Moorhead, Suite 104.
So
What's
thanks.
the number?
Suite 104.
Phone number?
You can call 704-564-3895.
Can you
Thanks
repeat
for,
that for us one more time?
Sure, 704-564-3895.
Thanks for letting me come and drop in on your guys' meeting. If you have any questions, my number and my contact information is on that packet. So feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email anytime, or call Chase or stop by the Mecklenburg office. And I think you're probably going to stick around for a little bit. I'm going to make the 3-hour drive back to Raleigh. So thanks, guys.
All right, I just did a little bit of figuring here. We had 16 of our precincts represented, which is 31%. That's outstanding. That's a potential of $16,000. And Mr. Helms, you got the 800 names. That's another potential 10. We are potentially made $26,000. We're on our way. I know we got to get volunteers, but we got to get money too. Hang on to yourself, because Audrey's going to come up now. And she's been a little under the weather, but I want you to see how excited she is. And I tell you what, if you follow the directions of the young lady and the young man just talked to us, and then get with Audrey, putting boots on the ground and doing the roundup, shoot, we got this thing. Audrey?
Thank you, Jerry. This little map over here is for the benefit of everybody. All the little precincts are named and numbered. The ones that have names on the people that Jerry knew already were designated to volunteer to work that precinct and head it up. But there are people sitting in this room tonight that I didn't even know were working on that. So we have the big thick writing in blue. These are the other precincts. And I want to ask you, everybody lives here in an area where you see a heavy blue line. That's another precinct and you don't have anybody in working right now. But you know somebody who lives there. You may know somebody here. And when I look at these sums, this vote's 54% Republican. This precinct is equal in vote to this one up in here. So don't be fooled. We can't afford to waste them. But we know it's harder to poll and drive the distances in these big areas. Curtis and I learned this a long time ago because he did 10 counties in a congressional race to over 100,000 voters. But it took 2.5 years to do that, walking very regularly. We know that candidates like Mark Brody, Barbara Harrison, Barbara Ann Price, walked when they ran to be elected. They walked out to their voter, and walking won over money. It did, okay? So we take a look back and say, it matters that you walk your precinct. Now, if you notice, these maps have very, very little tiny lines on them visually. But when you open your packet, you've got the A voter list, and I was astounded. When you looked, and I'm just pulling up Porter Ridge, here it is, not too dense. It's a whole lot easier to take one of these dense ones and walk, because the streets are going to be close together and compact. But when you take a look at the wonderful job these people did for us. They arranged the streets in alphabetical order, and that's not how they're going to fall on the map, right? So when Labels and Lists got us our list many long years ago, which did include phone numbers, by the way, every member of the household that voted, what party they were in, were to pay high money to get that from Labels and Lists, because we looked at it last year for GOP headquarters. Then the street that's here is numbered high to low. So you're walking down the street in order. So you may want to cut a piece of this, and the next street that junctions off it is Harris. So A comes connected to Harris. So you follow me, you're going to be chopping this thing up and using it as the pieces meet and converge to use your time and gas and energy well. But basically I say be positive about this. What we learned in the process of walking with something astounding. Most Republicans do not live in Firethorns. Most Republicans are working class blue collar workers, where we walked. And this was Cabarrus and Iredale and Stanley and Union, et cetera, all the way to Scotland down to Fayetteville. But in the process of doing it, everybody votes, correct? But when you walk to their house, they didn't know you from Adam. So you're going as Joe Honeycats from Sandy Ridge Precinct. You're going, and you might have a little sign on you. I said, I can't function without a clipboard. So I have a little name list. Curtis would do one side of the street. I may take a different street. We'll work together. Sometimes we had a whole bunch of people doing a walking brigade. When we went to Scotland County, for instance, all the people that were running for office showed up at Hardee's in the morning. Everybody put their names in little plastic baggies. In other words, all the candidates campaigned together with us as we walked. So they would take a street, we would take a different street, and we'd meet back together when it's all done. And if a person wasn't there, you had the personal touch of knowing who are you going to. You were going to a specific person, Mike and Mary Jones and family. Sorry I missed you. Now you've said you cared enough to identify there was just not another door hanger on the door box or on the mailbox. You went to the front door. I learned to be wary in Northern Union County because God loved my farmers. Every one of them has 2 dogs and they're bigger than I am. But I learned, and we started a whole lot early. We would start in early spring and run all through the summer and all through the winter. Normally speaking, after Thanksgiving, you might as well have it up because people are not into politics in that season. You just forget about it. But come January again, you can be a daytime walker, you can be a Saturday walker, and you can walk with friends. But I usually say, if you show at the door in twos, they're going to think you're a Jehovah's Witness. All right, so let's be kind, and you may be a Jehovah's Witness, but if you walk as a solitary, unitary person, you'll be better received than in two. So one goes well with two. The other person can be in the car nearby, doing the other half of the streets. If you need help, they'll get you. So the practical part of this is to be positive, and I remember the nights when we got the best volunteer ever. It was the last house you went to at the dead end of the road, and you were so tired, you were thinking, do I stop at 10 to 9 and go home? Or do I make that last haul? And that would be the person that headed your campaign in the whole county. I tell you now, God works in mysterious ways. Be open to expect the unexpected. You're going to meet people that are so happy you came to them. Remember the big excitement? How many worked in the Republican headquarters in the last cycle in any manner? Okay. What we learned was almost 99% of the people walking in the door, 95 maybe, had never gone to any Republican anything in Union County. No GOP, no men's club, no forum, no sweet union. They didn't know they existed. But they were excited enough to drive from lower Union County, inside from Mecklenburg, because they couldn't get to our headquarters to get things, to come for materials, campaign information. And with the maps we had on the board, we could let them know who their congressperson was, who their a state house member was that they could vote for. So we have all the information they need. Now remember, when you're walking to their door, you're not going to want to take 2 hours speaking to these people, right? You got their name and you know they're an A voter, which means they show up at all the primary elections, they vote all the time, they'll show up in November, and they'll show and they'll show and they'll show. They're wonderful. But you want to know their contacts too. Maybe children in the family that are going to be new voters or off to school. So I say, with your little clipboard where you may save this information, it can be something as a little baggie attached with index card. You get the information you need. For the other people that you want, carry voter registration forms. Okay, so they can on the spot do the registration, or make sure it gets done and gets mailed back to Union County for those college students that you want them voting in Union County and not voting as they would have them vote in Appalachia. You know what I mean? Appalachian State's going to have them vote all Democrat. So these sheets are so valuable, and thank you, men, for doing this hard work. This part here is a gold mine. I know you have to do a little cut and paste to make it practical, but that's the easy part. So the cards and the index cards inside would allow you to either receive money if you wish to, bring that up, but normally if you say, I only have a few minutes to spend with you, but I want you to know Union County Republican Party is very, very active. You are invited to come to every first Thursday meeting at Bonfire or someplace bigger, as we'll probably need it, and you can invite those people to come right away. Let's not wait to the election site. They want to volunteer. And we learned at the last time at the headquarters, people volunteered to call the entire precinct. I wasn't there probably a week, and one man came. I will call every person in Wesley Chapel Elementary School. We didn't have the list. We couldn't give them a phone. How frustrating is that, Jerry? Because we want to activate Republicans. Obviously, the members of the Republican Women Club and the Forum and the Men's Club, we want them active in all of these things. We don't want anybody sitting on the hands in their own precinct. But if you know you can do better outside your precinct, that's fine. Remember, when Curtis walked and Mark walked, he was only known a little tiny piece of the whole pie, wasn't he? But by going out and going out and going out, he made himself known and made the cause of the Republican Party known. And what's really interesting is when you take a look at the sheets that came in each folder like this, everybody can find their precinct by name and number. You can find the column marked Republican and unaffiliated, who more often than not vote with the Republicans. So almost always when we tried to figure the value of the precinct in terms of raw numbers of votes, we added those together and did that as a percentage, because almost always they tend to vote more conservative than otherwise. And right now, from what we've heard, we need the same kind of list on the unaffiliated A voters. So when you're walking down the street to the A Republicans, it might be nice to do a stop at the unaffiliated A's, because they're going to be back voting, aren't they? And we need their votes. And we know that they can be very helpful for the party and for us. So be practical, map your days, take a look at how many days you can get in, and see how far you can go. Pick the densest area to give you the fastest results, because you'll feel better if you do that. You'll waste less gas, less time and energy. And if sometimes you want to do it as, I call it a walking brigade, which means more than 4 or 5 people are helping you walk your precinct, how good. If they want to immediately start to help, say, you can help me walk a precinct. Would you take this street and this street? Doing the same thing. Yes?
If you need help too, I can make maps of hotspot areas with density areas of Republicans and affiliated or whatever.
That would be wonderful. That would be wonderful. I don't know if will the map be readable, or will it be so tiny you can't see?
I can do it per precinct probably.
Okay, that would be wonderful. Because these are great, and I can always patch and glue, but I don't know how many people always have the patience to do that. But it really works to kind of go here. I take this little piece first, because you got 5 or 6 streets, if your numbers are there, because you will tell by this sheet how many numbers you're dealing with. And it's all a numbers game, isn't it? And in the end, we want all of the parts of the city to have a turnout on election night. And what used to be so much fun is when Curtis would know it from walking, he could tell you exactly where he stopped walking. He said the votes were so good, and then the votes became shallow. Okay? Mail pieces were sent, other things were done, but when you walk to the door, I'll tell you, you have a loyalty that lasts. And 5 or 6 years, oh, you walked to my house. And sometimes he could even remember what the house looked like. It was on a hill or whatever. I don't ask me how anybody can remember that after all that time. And and by the way, what can we use these people for? For calling, some people like to call, some people are dreadful at that, they don't ever want to do that. But doing a street, they might love to do that, and find out that they can do a neighborhood, or take one in another area of the county. On election days, I don't care what poll I work at, but I'll tell you one thing I will remember. In working for Jim Benchin on a rainy night in November, do you remember every November was rainy for how many years? It was going to pour, it was election night in November. I ended up splitting my day, and one of it was Prospect part of the day, and the other part was over here in Utah, if I'm saying it correctly.
Utah.
I was standing there in the pouring rain in my winter coat that went down to the ground, it was soaking wet already. And we were giving out information on the judges. What else would you be doing, right? And a man came to the tent, and it was more of a Democrat precinct, I thought then, than it is now. And he said, why are you standing in the rain? I said, for these people. He said, you're doing that at this hour of the night for these people? He said, I'll vote for every one of them because you're willing to do that. He didn't know from Adam, but that's the effect of being at the poll. So yes, we need to have poll workers. And old guys like me that are 70 may not be able by health or physical circumstances be able to do more than an hour or two. But maybe you can do something we haven't done enough of. You can drive somebody to the poll. You know who does that very, very well. We need to do more of that. Find out who needs rides to the polls. So while we're going to the door, is there anybody you know that would need a ride to the poll? Why not? We've got people that are willing to ride out and give lunches. Why not ride people to polls? Either early voting or on election day.
Maybe a good piece of data to collect on the survey.
Good piece, yes, exactly, while you're around there. Any special needs, so make a point of making that special need in the family, somebody might need a ride to the poll. If they want special information on a candidate, where can they get that? But normally we say the monthly GOP meeting is the main force. First Thursday, bonfire until we explode the place out, and then we'll have to find bigger. You got the forum, the women's club, different weeks of the month, different. So they have plenty of sources of information with vital speakers, but you want to get them there. And if you have to go out of your way to say, if you don't have a ride, I can come by and pick you up and take you to the meeting. Now you've got somebody coming to the meeting. All right? So find out what they really want to do. And I think the 800-person vote thing that Mr. Helms has, even you have, that is a gold mine because we wrote so many little pieces of information scratched into those lines. And the other thing is, I know we'll be tripped on our heads if we don't do this right. But when we are collecting the money from anybody, it's nice to maybe have something like this which will conceal what you got in here, but allow you to have your paper clip and card. If you were going to do that, and somebody wanted to give you a $50 donation to the party, Union County GOP, or is that correct, Union County Republican Party? And they have to have that little card that you would ID, their name, their address, their employer, and their occupation, those 4 things, and you're good to go. So
Most important to do that too.
What's that word?
We have to do that.
Have to do that. So even if it's $1, they're willing to give you $1. Remember the pains at the party headquarters. $1, but look at the work that people had to put in. Chris, is he here tonight?
Yeah, he's left.
Chris, yes, and Barbara Ann went through the travail of going through piles and piles of receipt books. But if you carry an index card, you can carry all that vital information. If you want one card for people that need rides, one card for people that want to volunteer at the office, one people that want to volunteer at a poll, one people who help them and put out the signs, and to be notified of events like Jerry already knows the date of the convention, the Lincoln Reagan dinner, and as spontaneously if somebody's coming through town on election cycle and they want to have Republicans there, isn't it nice to be able to call your precinct chairman and have a way for him to email out in his computer to the 15 people or 30 people or 200 people, this event is coming up. Otherwise, Jerry's computer might melt down, I don't know what. But, so you can get the information out fast about the who, what, when, where, and why. So the precinct is the starting point. But it also is such a rich, rewarding point. Because on election night, when you work that poll, you will see your numbers. And the poll workers, they glow actually when they say, look at the precinct I worked tonight. I know I raised the vote. Sometimes you see them running past you, you wonder if they're making any difference at all. They're acting like, get out of my way, I'm time to vote. And of course it might be more so now because the election is a little more compact. But you'll be surprised you make the difference. And I think the best thing you bring with you when you go out there is a smile and a good attitude. Nothing despondent about you. You don't have to be dressed in high-dollar things. Comfortable shoes are an important thing. Your candy bars in here might not help, little suckers for kids. But make it fun, because it should be fun. Pray to God for a blessing and safety on you every time you go out. And I did once because I needed with one big angry dog. And I prayed to the Lord as I snuck my way safely back to the car. But I'm just so thrilled with the information you've gotten, everybody. Yes?
I was going to say one thing too. If you're going up to somebody's house, you already got their name, so you might want to say Mr. and Mrs. so-and-so.
Yes. Address them by name, because you already know who they are. And if you know you came by and couldn't, if there's a way of leaving them a little note, I came by to see you from the Union County GOP.
I was going to say that, when we're talking about this, we have had this conversation, Jerry, you're behind me, about, we need literature. We need those little door hangers that you made famous, your person made famous. We have already had conversations about literature, that we need to leave something there, maybe even a magnet or something with all the times that the GOP in Union County is meeting, and also a door hanger for when you miss them.
A clear plastic door hanger is really fine. They're very inexpensive. But that one piece of paper or card with all the numbers with the Union County GOP website, because that gives all the information after that. But update information and precinct chairman. If you're the precinct chairman, write your name down so they know where to find you. Golly, how good is that? Now they know they have somebody they can contact with, get back with. So basically, a clipboard, walking shoes. Yes, Curtis.
The clear plastic, you remember, is the bag that we hung the three-color print stuff inside.
And they make them narrow. So
You can make them narrow, and then we made them where you punch them out, and they would slide over.
the door handle. So that didn't work. So if it was rainy day, you didn't have to worry about it. But leaving people a note so you can walk daytime to people you can't otherwise get to, if you're willing to do that. Because I would walk in the winter, and Curtis would walk in the winter if we weren't working on a rental property. So we walk and drive different areas so that we made good use of the daytime, because otherwise we'd walk. And now it's not going to be seasonally as good for that. So pick your days, have fun doing it, and report back. We're going to be excited to hear from all of you. Okay.
Aubrey, before I sit down, you're talking, and I want your opinion on this, as the absolute authority on this. You know, we have a holiday coming up where everybody goes door to door. Would that be bad to, gee, you're walking this on Halloween?
And we compete with the kids, huh?
No candy at my door this year.
I actually given out little pumpkins.
Take this back to your mommy.
One of the things, as Audrey says, you got to make this thing fun. You've got to basically make this a venture where you're going to go out and base like Alabama when they go out and win a ball game. Go out there and see how good you can do. Maybe 19 can compete against 28 or something like that. Make it fun. All the stuff of the materials that we will need, Mark will be coming up with that before too long. Nancy has worked. She's got a gentleman that's got some stuff. I don't know whether I've shared that with you to look at, but we'll get all this stuff up. We could have made this thing here 3 times this size. We didn't want to do that. We want you to look at it, and the entire thing is an elephant. You got to eat a little bit each day. I don't believe I got your name either, so I want you to sign that list over there. And so basically what you want to do is make this thing. I remember working with JR. Working in the rain gets votes, JR. I remember that day I was working with your brother down there in Terza. And I'm going to tell you, those people say, who do you want to vote for? Yeah, all right. And those people in Terza, they vote. And so I'm telling you, we had 16 precincts here tonight. Really 17. Because I counted you with Don. Jeff, Mark, Matt, don't leave here tonight before you give all your information to Bob Guntz here. I'm telling y'all, walking databases. And Mark, you keep them all straight there and keep it straight for me. Unaffiliates, we'll be getting that list for you also. Democrats, we won't mess with it. We said 7 to 9. I'm telling you what. we stayed so much on track, because my wife says at 9 o'clock, I want to be home. And so it's 25 minutes to 8, to 9. And unless you have any questions on this?
Not a
Yes.
question, but if I can have the liberty to just make a quick announcement.
Okay.
For those of you that haven't heard the date already, we have a date for our Lincoln Reagan Day dinner, which is March 1st. It's going to be at Wingate University. What's it called? The Levine?
Right.
Laverne.
Laverne, yeah, Shirley and Laverne.
We've had functions there before, but we started some of the planning already tonight, and it sneaks up on us. So if people ask you where the function's going to be or what we're going to do this year, just try to get the word out.
Okay,
March 1st, Saturday, at Laverne Dining Hall at Wingate University. That's a
Hey Joe,
Saturday.
I'm just gonna tell you right now that that's way too small. We're gonna blow ourselves out, okay? Way too small.
All right, now the thing about it is, put it on your
Oh, I was
calendar.
gonna say that.
Put it on your calendar. Joe and Diane are our chairpersons for the Lincoln Reagan dinner. And we had a meeting today with the executive part of the party. And as I say, I like things going all the time. Right, Mr. and Ms. Hippel? From Dan and Marsh? I call them all the time.
Twice today.
Yeah, twice. I probably forgot. Any questions? Yes.
I didn't really get a solid answer out of the lady that was here about being able to get onto this database. She talked about, obviously, it's the head party's decision on who gets it and who doesn't, but
Yeah.
I did get to work a little bit with the voter vault thing, and it's nice to have this A list, but being able to,
It's gone now. Voter was.
well, I know that, but she's saying there's this new database that's
Not
supposedly.
yet.
GOP database.
Not yet.
Well, that's what I said to her. She talked like it was already
No.
something that was here.
I do have access to the database whenever they complete
Okay.
the data. So you do know some.
You know, at the
know
beginning,
somebody.
when I said on the state level and the national level, we are.
Well, I could tell that.
We are. And we want to listen to everything that everybody's doing. But I'm telling you folks, keep this thing simple. Knock on that door, present yourself, ask for volunteers, ask for donations, ask for emails. If they don't give it to you, don't look like somebody took all the sugar off the sucker. Just smile and
That's
get what you
what
can
I'm
get and go to the next door.
And give them your email.
Okay? But let them know that you, around the Sardis areas, are the kahuna over there. Not Jerry Cross in the GOP. I'll assist you. In fact, if you want to get on that GOP, if I can get on it, I don't know. I'll just let you be Jerry Cross for the hour you want to get on it, because I didn't find that much
I don't know
about
who I was when it was voter vault, but I know I was somebody.
All right, remember, the data people do not leave till you see Mr. Guns.
Right.
Yes, yeah.
Jared, the key to the future of the party is the Generation Y folks.
Mhm.
Those people,
Explain what that is.
Generation Y are people that are younger than me. I'm old enough to be their daddy.
Talking about me.
Now, he's younger than he looks. He just shaved his head.
They communicate by text and email. They won't pick up a telephone call and talk to you. They will let it ring and go to voicemail. But if you send them a text, it'll pop you right back.
Now, that is the truth. I mean, if you look at the younger generation, I didn't know what that was called. I have a granddaughter that would text. They would text her and her boyfriend back and forth. They wouldn't even talk.
Yeah. But that's the future of the party.
Yeah. But there's still a lot of people my age that vote.
Correct. And we've got a good grasp on a methodology to reach those folks. It's the Generation Y folks, the folks that are upcoming.
Yeah.
We can turn them into let them turn into a bunch of new Democrats, or we can turn them into a bunch of new Republicans.
Well, there's a lot of brain power right here in technology, right there in that triangle. Matt, Mark, and Jeff.
I don't know about Jeff as far as
Okay?
technology is.
And Mark is the kahuna there that directs it and drives it. But remember, say what you think, because if you don't, Mark might miss something also.
Highly unlikely.
Okay? Highly unlikely. Anything else? Kurt?
Yeah, Gary, I would suggest if you're going out walking, I would start with your A voters. They'll be definitely much more receptive.
I tell you what, I'm excited about this turnout. Nancy?
I just want to tag on to what Curtis just said. We were
Yeah.
talking about the presidential only voters, what is it? The PVOVs. You know, those people came out to vote presumably for the Republican candidate for president. If we remind them that we absolutely have to hold the House, otherwise it's all over with. I mean, forget 2016. It isn't going to matter. Paint this mental picture of Barack Obama unleashed for 2 years. We're talking about the lame duck session. It ain't going to be lame duck. It's going to be the honking goose for the next 2 years. And the damage that can be inflicted on this country has already been inflicted, but more. I mean, if that doesn't scare them, then I don't know what does. So I think those people, that's the low-hanging fruit.
Roy, what you said was the honking goose. Okay. All right.
I
Yes.
have one question.
Marty,
Our chairman isn't here.
you take it,
Do I send
you
it
look
to
at
him, or
it,
do I-
run off if you want to, and then get him a copy of it. Okay?
Right.
Take these with you. Leave the ones on the table that they were not here, because Tuesday night we're going to have about 16 more about like this, and that's going to be 32 of the 52 precincts. All right, thank you for coming. Nancy, give her another hand. She's done a good job.
Audrey,